Now, this time last year, Sorare announced they were going to be moving to the in-season and classic landscape that we've seen in the SO5 arena for the 24-25 season. And in the lead up to the new European season starting, we really got the guinea pigs in action first of all, which was the J and the K League, where we seen the first version of how the in-season and classic thing would really shape out. And we got a bit of a dry run, as it were, before the European season started. And coming into this summer, it feels like we were getting the exact same treatment when it came to MLS. It was the first league outside of the big three in European and world football to get its own league-specific competition for in-season and for classic. It got the introduction of the hot streaks, which we've now had announced is being rolled out across the European competitions as well. And it felt like because MLS was going to be the guinea pig of what we were going to get in the 25-26 season, or as Sorare calls it, Sorare 26, I was really happy to jump into the deep end with this one and do an MLS Road to Glory. We went back to the NYC well again, as it were, and we used some of those old tricks that we had up our sleeve from playing Sorare for the last 5 seasons to go and try and bring in some other star pieces of talent around the league to try and help us be hot streak capable, to try and have us run with a strategy that would be done on a budget, but we could get it to wash its own face by the time the season ends. And I can't lie, guys, the start of the season for New York City, for the squad, for my fantasy football operation here, was an absolute nightmare. But over the last couple of weeks, we've got some real green shoots of progress, and now we're kicking into the business end of MLS, where enough of the games have been done. We kind of know who the main runners and riders are to win conferences, who's likely to get playoffs, who's likely to struggle. We do have the Leagues Cup right around the corner, but now that Club World Cup and CONCACAF Champions League has been done, it feels like we're not quite in the home straight for MLS, but we're right in the thick of it, and we kind of really know what's going on for the most part. So at this point of the season, I've worked out exactly everything that I've spent on MLS in season, and when we come back to do this video next time, we'll start to do what we did in Europe, where we start counting the amount of cash that we're winning, as well as essence and cards and all that good stuff. But in the video today, we'll go through the green shoots of progress that we've got, how we've found them, what's kind of panned out for us, and kind of what the strategy is for as we find it at this point in time. At any point in the video, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. If you are brand new to Sorare Fantasy Football and you've not yet opened up your account, there's a link in the description of this video, also be in the pinned comment, that will get you $50, pounds, euros, whatever your currency is, of market credit to help you go out and reinforce your squad. If you do get stuck, if you've got any questions, just jump into the comment section and I'll come and help you out, or you can jump onto the channel and find all the beginner tutorials and explainers that will get you up and running. But yeah, at any point, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something, subscribe, like, comment, get involved down below. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on MLS this year. Have you had any success with it? Is it backfired? Always interested to see the comments on this one. But yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it, because MLS cards hold a special place in my heart when it comes to Sorare. You won't see them in my club anymore, but when I first started playing Sorare back in 2020, one of the big licenses that followed not long after me signing up was the MLS Players Association, where we just got the big head pictures that you'll see floating about on the market. MLS is a league that I've followed from a distance most of my life. I've got family that, my dad and stuff are over in the Seattle kind of area, so I've always been quite fond of the Sounders, and I've always been a big fan of Man City and wider the CFG kind of football operation I'm a big fan of. So I've been following NYC since inception. So when MLS came onto Sorare, it just felt really right down my street and something that could help enhance everything I was doing with the European cards that were available to make my fantasy football team, my fantasy football collection, that could get me the wins that no one else was going to be picking up. And yeah, I've not got any big heads anymore. I've kind of traded them out and all my cards look nice and shiny for the most part. But I've been playing MLS now for 5 or 6 seasons, so I've got a good collection of cards already in the gallery from old collections, as well as other cards like Abada and Forsberg or whatever that have transferred from Europe over to MLS as well. Because I'm an NYC supporter, as you can see, we've built in multiple season collections here, and we've had some more transfers like Choupo-Moting and whatever else kind of come in to the league this year. And I didn't really have many aspirations of going into MLS, like I mentioned in the intro here, but with it being the guinea pig for the European stuff that we were about to get, with the introduction of hot streaks, I really wanted to get my hands on that, see if I could crack it, number one, and number two, just like get some of it, just for strategy purposes, getting ready for Europe, that sort of thing. And my advice is always to anyone playing Sorare, whether you're brand new or you've been around the block once or twice, is buy what you know. And NYC is a situation, although it's not perfect and far from optimal, I'm very well aware of. I'm quite tapped in with projected lineups, as well as who are the main runners and riders in the squad. And starting with this Keaton Parks here that I bought 4 months ago, and I've also, in my in-season cost calculation, I've also included 2 classic Sean Johnsons and a classic Matt Freese, because I did exclusively buy those classic cards to be used in season. I wouldn't have went and bought these guys otherwise, to be quite honest. But as you can see, Wolf here, £44. Everyone that's got a little trolley or a little auction hammer, I've went through the records, every single one of them I got a market discount on it of 50, I beg your pardon, percent, which in layman's terms is half price. But once I went out and got the NYC guys, as some of you that have been here already will know, it's just a quick recap for anyone that's new around here. I then had done the eye test on a few guys around the league. There's some guys in the league we'd watched in seasons gone by that were really coming to fruition. One of them was Jaden Nelson, who passes the eye test in a big way. He's a player that I very much became a fan of. Hasn't been that reliable since he's returned to the MLS from the Norwegian League with Rosenborg, but he's shown some glimmers and some signs, and let's see how well he does. There's that classic freeze I mentioned here. But on top of that, we also went out and we got a Kessler, we got a Brian Gutierrez, we got an in-season freeze which cost a fair chunk of cash on the secondary market. It is a number 1, so it's extra points on the collection score and all that good stuff. But we also got a Gutman, who now being at Chicago, this guy's played for half of the league and he's always good no matter where he is. But Chicago, with the new manager, feels like they're close to signing Kevin De Bruyne. The Chicago were going to be quite a serious outfit for a change. We got the Gutierrez, Gutman, former Celtic player as well. Technically, felt like an easy addition, a player I've formerly owned as well. We got a Jersey addition, Seb the Boy Legit. We got a Pedrinho, who was just like a bit of a hunch guy from scouting and whatever that he could do half okay. And you know, for a guy that cost £16 on auction, would have got that for half price at £8. How many decisives has he brought in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 decisives isn't too bad at all. The games, could you have forecasted them? Hard to say because they're all off the bench, but this is a guy I've been playing in my last lineup and it's paid off for us a couple of times, to be honest with you. More NYC guys as well. We've got this classic Seattle thing on the go, but I would have been doing that anyway with the price point that they're at. It's got nothing to do with MLS in season. We then got our star player, Lucho Acosta, who'd found himself in a really depreciated place in the market. Had just moved to Dallas, wasn't scoring that well. And with the market credits, we got him even cheaper, of course. And since we've bought him, he's really kind of woken up. And I've seen this guy, again, be a one-man team at Cincinnati before they were good. So I had a lot of faith he would start to come good at Dallas. And it feels like that faith is being repaid here. I then started to get into some of the special edition NYC cards for the competition, which was fun. We didn't really win anything from that. And then we get some classics here. But for this whole in-season, it's basically NYC plus a little bit of Dallas, Chicago, Jaden Nelson and Kessler around it. Net, I've spent £733.24, that is. So that is our break-even mark on the strategy. And it's not that big a win. I'm not sure it is our first big win. And like I said, next time we come back to do MLS Road to Glory, we'll kind of go back through the game weeks gone by and we'll tally up everything that we have been winning. So we've got that kind of running score for these videos, as it were. But recently enough, we hit our first ever hot streak target, which was absolutely fantastic. With Matt Freese going away to do national team duty, we get Thomas Romero, the backup, coming in to be number 1. We'd picked up 2 of him for this eventuality. We had 2 dogs in the fight. Both of them hit the score required to get us onto the first streak, which was brilliant. And they also brought in $30 in prize money themselves. So of the £733 that we've spent, like the $40-50 that we've picked up in this game week makes a start. I think we've maybe started already, to be honest with you, which is why I want to do the video where we're tallying it up again later on, so don't hold me to that. I don't think this is our first reward necessarily, but it was our first big week of a couple of things happening. You know, teams hitting well on the leaderboard, promotions, hot streak coming in. I think the classic guys actually did none too bad as well. Yeah, we got a bunch of essence there for the NYC classic stuff. And one thing I've not factored into this is we also hit the limited hot streak as well. Pedrinho doesn't quite do it on this occasion, but the dregs, the leftovers that I've got, I got an in-season Romero, I got an in-season Freeze goalkeeper, just to throw my leftovers in at a team here, and we got that on the streak as well, so that was worth like $3 or something as well. And a part of this is market strategy, and a little bit of this is football insight or knowledge, or however you want to think of it as. Because like I mentioned, Lucho Acosta, who we got at a really depreciated point, wasn't scoring well, wasn't priced well, his team were not doing well. So we managed to pick up a guy that is normally way more expensive at quite a cut price. He came good in this one. But also, Hannes Wolf for the triple decisive looks like a boss here, right? But NYC, I've been calling them the crappiest good team in the league, and that's what they have been. And over recent weeks, they've started to turn the screw a bit, and they are starting to get their act together, and the results are starting to turn. Now, this is something that you have to be aware of when backing a team, when backing a stack of a single club, is they're not going to win every week, number one. And if you're getting them on a budget, like I was with NYC, they're not in a good place. You know, they've maybe not got a DP that's firing on all cylinders. They've maybe got a bunch of transfer business that they still have to do. They might just not have a good manager. There could be a number of different things going on. But as long as you ID the team properly and you believe that they're going to win some football matches this year, their time will come. Every dog has their day kind of vibe. And, this was just one of those occasions where NYC went 4-0. And because of the amount of NYC guys I've got, I can't really go too far wrong unless I pick the absolute worst combinations available. And even with having the wrong forward and defender in this team here, we still managed to finish 15th. We were 43 points off the top. We could have won that. It's maybe an opportunity missed on that one. But that was back in game week 88, and sadly in game week 90, NYC didn't have a match, number one, and number two, basically we didn't have an in-season goalkeeper anywhere, so we were going to be losing the streak guaranteed. No one did very well, and they actually undone all the good work that we'd done the week before in Classic and in season with a double relegation, which was quite frustrating to say the least. And at point of recording, we currently find ourselves in game week 91, and it wasn't a great game week. NYC lost 1-0, which is highly frustrating. We did get some nice scores in some places, like you can see here. Again, Hack and Legit, lovely midfield combo. Gutierrez smashing really nicely, but nothing too great. We got a wee promotion back into D1 from the American Cash Reserves lineup here. And for Classic, no one's done really anything super great. But where the optimism returns for me is we're getting like Johnny Russell coming back into form. And like I mentioned in the intro of the video, like so many of these teams are in the thick of it now. You kind of know what the depth chart is. You kind of know what the pecking order is for who is the main guys, who's on form, what's a good fixture and what's not, for the most part. And coming into game week 92 is when I expect to get the hot streaking back up and running again. Now at 733 quid, it's not a small budget, certainly not a huge budget of a squad, of a complete strategy, but that's what this is a complete strategy across 4 in-season lineups, the 3 at Rare and laterally the 1 at Limited. And when you look at how we're shaping up coming into the next game week, with everyone fit and available, having a good match, we had some matches gone by already, so we can see that Legit's back in the team, Acosta's still playing. The NYC guys, if you're following the team, you kind of know who's getting the rhythm of starting and who's being effective from the bench, that sort of thing. But that's now 3 really high quality teams across 2 Division 1s and a Division 2 team. And when I say high quality, I'm talking about in that budget setting. We're looking to maybe try and get some more card wins out of the Classic guys this game week, and it's a bit more formulaic. We've got the NYC stack, we've got a Seattle stack, and then we've got a kind of collection Barcelona kind of team, as it were, that we've called All-American here. So hopefully all of them being in D2, hopefully one of them can kind of fly high and do something half okay. And in the limited in-season, like you see, the best of the rest squad that we've got here is very streak capable as well. It's not amazing, it's not smashing, it's not going to finish top, probably not, but it's very streak capable certainly anyway, and it can just help us eat into that little deficit. But I think like that's the number one thing everyone says about MLS is it's got a real sharp information or knowledge edge to the game, and that is very, very true. It's a very hard league to keep abreast of, like be across 4 or 5 different squads, different managers, rotation situations, goalkeeper conundrums, all that kind of thing. And for the most part, like, I was a bit annoyed at myself at just going so deep end on NYC at the beginning of this road to glory of this strategy. But now that the season's unrolling and hopefully the results for them are improving and picking up, I think it is going to be a strategy that ultimately is going to, do what we wanted it to do on inception, which is wipe its own face and then hopefully get us into a little bit of profit. For where we're at the moment, having 2 D1 entries, we only do, to go back to that old Sorare proverb, as it were, you only need to win once. Well, we're not quite in that zone yet, but 1 win with the streaks and with the rest of the season to go certainly does a lot of the legwork for us. And having 2 D1 entries, 2 shots at the two shots at the wheel, as it were, just makes it a bit more optimistic and a little bit more of a chance. And across between the two D1s here, we've got like a full team stack, and then we've got a partial stack with some midfield reinforcements, some star level guys to kind of fill in that void, as it were. But as you can see with the shape and size of all the guys I've got here, and the teams that did look good, and any teams that, when we come back to this next time, when we go back through all the game weeks, the players that do score well, they don't all need to be Messi, they don't all need to be Bouanga, they don't all need to be Evander. There is lots of teams that win football matches in MLS, there's lots of teams that score goals, and if you can find those things, it's going to make it's going to make a big difference. Depending on what your budget is, it's not that easy to just go into the market and go, oh yeah, give me Evander, give me Carlos Hill, do this, do that. You need to find those Lucho Acostas, those Sebastian Leggets, that NYC team stack, that gives you the most bang for buck at whatever price point of the game it is that you're kind of rolling with. And when this wasn't working out a few weeks ago, we weren't hitting hot streaks, we were really struggling to kind of get into D1s and kind of maintain them, I was quite worried that MLS, the league specific element of it anyway, had broken. It was kind of smash or no smash. There was no alternate angle, there was no budget route to goal or anything like that. But I think it's just a few things at play here. Number one, Sorare has never been MLS only in any sort of competition, guys, before, and like we've seen with rotations and defences, it is a real bag of worms, a can of worms, a bag of frogs, whatever the saying is here, for predicting success and having good scoring players in certain positions, number one. But number two, it's just kind of the same thing again, I suppose, but MLS is a wonky league, and when it first starts its season, because of the way transfers go and the carryover from one season to another, the way their fixture list is scheduled and kind of build out, as it were, it's a nightmare at the beginning of the season for most teams, except for the ones that run away with being really strong in their conference or whatever. And it's kind of now when you get into the meat and the bones of the season, before that kind of playoff push in the latter third of the season, where you do get that kind of predictability element, maybe not go all the way across MLS, but come into feasibility, reality a little bit more. I'm not going to be buying any more MLS in-season cards as things sit at the moment, but I still do think if you're carrying market credits and there's someone like that Lucho Acosta or the in-season goalkeeper, which, you don't even need the in-season goalkeeper as much now, because the streaks will be including a classic card, should have mentioned this earlier in the video obviously, in a 3 or 4 weeks from now, which will just make streaking even easier, and hopefully means that kind of investment, that outlay that I've put in this squad can just be recouped a bit easier, maybe a bit quicker as well, which I'm excited for. But regardless, if you're still a little bit short, you've been doing MLS on a budget, maybe not instant buys here unless you've got a lot of market credits, but so many of the cards have really lost that MLS is the only show in town premium, because Europe is right around the corner, and as soon as it is, MLS cards just go so quickly out of fashion, it's unreal. Maybe you've got some MLS cards, and now might be a decent time to maybe look at the odd guy and see, could I just cash in on the high value goalkeeper, the big star DP that's not really bagging me anything, and have that cash sitting waiting for Europe already, or turn it into some classic firepower now that the classic guys can actually streak for you now as well. But I do think this is a nice opportunity in the season to pick up some known quality if you need that. And some of the guys that are tier 4s and 5s you need for collection pieces, they're kind of getting into that time of the year where any extra in-season premium is kind of slowly getting kind of taken away from them, and people who do craft them or win them are super desperate to get rid, so deals can be done a bit easier. So really, I suppose no matter where you are in the marketplace in terms of what you need, what you want, what you're thinking about when it comes to MLS, there can be some good gets there. If you've not already got an established strategy up and running, I don't think it's a good time to get into MLS in that regard, unless you're really finding guys like Jonathan Bamba here. If you got that on 50% discount, that's a real no-brainer of a guy to pick up for 12 quid essentially, or whatever. I'd probably say the same with Hannes Wolf as well, seeing him on screen here at that same price point. And I'm sure we could go through this for midfielders and forwards, and defenders. Peter Musa at 20 quid, there's some great guys here that in season, and these are all special editions, summer edition guys that are on screen now as well. That, wow, look at that Gutman, 15 quid. If you had that on half price, that would be pretty effective. And yeah, if you have something already, getting that extra bit of quality, pushing the envelope with kind of tempted by that Pedrinho, by the way, but yeah, probably shouldn't. But yeah, wow, Kessler down at 7 quid. It wasn't that long ago when he was fit and available and playing every week. He was one of the most expensive players in the region. The little history here doesn't go far back enough. We would need to go on to the actual page, I think, wouldn't we? But yeah, these are his in-season cards. So we started off the season as like 14 quid or so, 15 quid, and then was smashing it in a big way. 60, 70, 67, that's a special, 66, before where we find them now down at 5, you know. So there's a lot of quality to be had if you're still looking for it, if you're still needing it. And with 20 or 19, depending on who you look at, MLS fixtures in the book already. This MLS season is absolutely flying away. Time is getting away from us, and we really need to start cracking out some big wins quickly. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this kind of next chapter of the MLS season on this road to glory pans out for us. I think we've got a great foothold. I think we've got a little bit of momentum that if we can snowball that over the next week or two, get some good results, that, you know, we could quickly get a lot more momentum and start to eat away at that progress that we laid out at the beginning of the season. Let me know how it's going for you in MLS, of course. On screen there now, some other stuff that we've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this, of course, as well. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.